fellow beings, my name is Amanda, and today we are going to be talking about anxiety attacks and panic attacks. So anxiety is a state of apprehension, uncertainty, and fear resulting from anticipation of a real or imagined event, situation, or circumstance that we think might be threatening. In other words, we become very concerned and have a fear that something could harm us or kill us. And this creates a state of being anxious. Anxiety is not something that is for nothing. It actually is a very useful and very helpful thing that helps us in our lives, because if something is dangerous and wants to kill us, it's a good thing that our brain thinks about it and says, you know what, we should probably leave this situation. And then we flee, or we fight, or we freeze. And there are different levels of anxiety. You could be a little bit nervous, like having to give a speech, or you could be severely anxious, like you're about to be in a car accident. So there are different degrees of being anxious, but our brain sometimes can short circuit, and it can imagine threats to us that aren't actually there, and that causes panic attacks or anxiety attacks. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, published by the American Psychiatric Association, defines panic attacks as a panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear that triggers severe physical reactions when there is no real danger or apparent cause. Those who experience anxiety attacks quickly learn that they can be highly unpleasant experiences. Even so, anxiety attacks and their symptoms can be successfully overcome with the right information, help, and support. So you may be wondering, okay, so anxiety is something that is supposed to help us. It tells us that we could be in danger and that we need to flee the situation. But when you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, the question is, what are the symptoms of this, and am I having one? So the symptoms are vast. There are a lot, and I'm going to go over just a few of the symptoms. And when I say few, there's a lot of them. But this is not a complete list of all of the symptoms that you could experience while having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. You can have a feeling of overwhelming fear or impending doom, feeling of going crazy or losing control, feeling you are in grave danger, heightened sense of danger, heightened awareness of danger, increased danger surveillance, feeling you might pass out or faint, a surge of doom and gloom, an urgency to escape, dizziness, heart palpitations, pounding heart or racing or accelerated heart, headache, pounding head or flushed head feeling, trembling or shaking, sweating, shortness of breath, feel like you are smothering, chest pressure, pain, discomfort or fullness feeling, turning pale, feeling detached from reality, tense muscles, muscle pain and stiffness, disassociation, feel like things are surreal, dreamlike, out of body-like, feel weird, suddenly confused, difficulty thinking straight, irrational and confused thinking, feel like you can't free your mind from the fear, weak in the knees, burning skin, pins and needles, hot and cold flashes, numbness and tingling sensation, paresthesia, feeling shaky, nausea, stomach or abdominal cramping, discomfort or distress. And along with all of those, there can be other symptoms that go along with all of that. And that includes a choking sensation, tightening in the throat. It feels like your throat is closing. It feels like something is stuck in your throat. Confusion, depersonalization, feeling detached from reality, separate from oneself, separate from the normal emotions. Derealization, feeling unreal in a dreamlike state. Dizziness, lightheadedness, unsteadiness, dry mouth, emotional distress, emotional upset, inability to calm yourself down, knot in the stomach, tight stomach, panicky feeling, pounding, racing heart, butterflies in the stomach, sudden urge to go to the bathroom, urinate or defecate, vomiting, or feel like crying. Yeah, that's a lot of things that you can have while having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. When you have one or two of the symptoms, that is considered a limited symptom attack. And if you have all of the symptoms or a lot of the symptoms, that is called a full-blown panic attack. But the one thing you need to understand is that every person is different. So everyone that has panic or anxiety attacks are going to have different reactions, and they're going to feel different symptoms. And those symptoms can vary from severity to not so severe, depending on the person. And the other thing that you need to realize is just because something is happening to you that isn't on a list that I just described does not mean that you're not having a panic attack. But if something is out of the ordinary and you've never experienced it before, I do suggest getting medical help. Remember, I am not a doctor. Don't look to me to cure you or to diagnose you, because I can't do that. Anxiety attacks can last from a few minutes to a couple of hours. And the cycle of panic attacks and anxiety attacks can last for days. So you could have really heightened panic attack and it will come down, and then it will happen again, and then you will come down from it. And that can last over days. And the length and the severity of the symptoms just depends on the person and how frightened they are at that time, and exactly how they react to that stressor when it occurs. So you have been hearing me use the term panic attack or anxiety attack, and the question is, what is the difference between the two? In all honesty, there's not a huge difference between anxiety attacks and panic attacks. Panic attacks is a more clinical term for what's happening, and anxiety not so much. The other way you can look at it is an anxiety attack is more of a mild form of a panic attack, where you're not having as severe symptoms, and then a panic attack is the severe end of the spectrum. So if you think about it, an anxiety attack is mild and a panic attack is severe. But generally, you can have the same symptoms, the same things happening during an anxiety attack or a panic attack. It just depends on the severity of what you're going through. But if you are going into specifics, according to the DSM-5, a panic attack is a clinical term, an anxiety attack is not. The thing is that I suffer from panic attacks and anxiety attacks. I've had both, and they're not fun. They are excruciating, and sometimes you feel like you're going to die. There was one time where in the middle of the night I ended up having a panic attack, and I thought I was having a heart attack, and I didn't know what to do, so I ended up calling my mom. This was back when I was in college, and I called my mom, and she knew exactly what was happening, and she helped calm me down, and she talked me through it, but I was convinced that my heart was going to stop, and she was able to get me out of it. Just because you have panic attacks or anxiety attacks does not mean that you are a weak or overly emotional human being. It just means that you are human. Everyone is going to have a panic about something at some time. It doesn't matter what it is. They may not have as severe symptoms, but I think most people get nervous when they have to speak in public. I get nervous. I enjoy speaking in public, but I still get nervous beforehand, and my heart starts beating really fast, and I get nervous about it. And that is a symptom of an anxiety attack. So everyone, no matter who they are, it's going to experience anxiety or panic at some point in their life. So just because you suffer from anxiety attacks or panic attacks does not mean that you are less of a human being. You are just human. Remember that you have a right to be as happy as possible. So if you are suffering from anxiety disorders or panic disorders, please see a mental health specialist. They are wonderful, and I cannot tell you enough times that they can really help you with these kind of disorders. I know for myself, I say this a lot. I have been seeing a therapist for years now, and she has helped me through a lot of situations, and now I have the tools necessary to help me get through all of this anxiety. I hope that you learned something from this, maybe a little bit about what anxiety is, maybe the difference between anxiety and panic, and I hope that you learned that you are a wonderful person and that you deserve to be happy. If you are interested in learning about other chronic illnesses, disabilities, handicaps, or just life in general with chronic illnesses, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and go ahead and click that like button if you did enjoy this video, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that this video needs to go up in front of more people. Remember to be kind. Kindness is free, so give it out to everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.